Why does God send demons to attack people? This is a question that somebody raised in my comments section, and a reason they said that they don't like the God of the Bible. They say that because they don't understand the context of it. I want you to hear me, okay? When you go and you take a look, for example, in First Kings, I believe it's chapter 22, you'll see a story where the prophet Micaiah talks about his heavenly encounter and where he saw God send a lying spirit into the mouths of the false prophets to deceive Ahab to go into battle so Ahab can die. All right. You also see in the Old Testament where God sent tormenting spirits to King Saul. All right. Because King Saul, for him to be tormented and depressed. You see in the New Testament where it talks about that God's sending people a great delusion. What is the reason behind this? What's the reason? I'm going to give you the reason. Because there's a warning in Ezekiel, and the reason shows how righteous and sovereign God is and how scary it can be if you don't want to walk in his will. In Ezekiel, there is a warning where God says that he will answer people according to the idols of their heart. That means if you have an idol in your heart that you place over him, God will give you what you want. He's not lying to you. He's not being evil. He's simply giving you what you want. You see, Ahab's idol was himself. He never wanted to hear a prophetic word that was going to correct him. And you see that in 1 Kings 22. You see that. So what does God do? God's like, okay, since you don't want to listen to the truth of my word, I'm going to send you what you want to hear. But since I can't lie, I'm going to give you what you want to hear, but I'm going to commission a lying spirit to tell you what you want to hear in the mouths of the false prophets. That's what God did. God gave him to the idol of his heart what he wanted to hear. The thing with King Saul didn't want to do what God wanted him to do. You see that through his life. So because of that, God's like, okay, you don't want my peace. You don't want the peace that I'm going to give you. You don't want the peace that I can give you. Okay, since you don't want that, I'm going to give you what you want. You want tormenting spirits. So that's what I'm going to give you. He was tormented as a result. When you look in, Paul's letter to the church in Thessalonica, notice scripture says that God sends them a great delusion because they were not lovers of the truth. That means that they put the things that they wanted ahead of God. So God gave them what they wanted. What does this mean for you? This means when you put things ahead of God, God tells you not to go and be engaged to that person or marry that person, you do it anyways. God tells you not to go get that job, you do it anyways. God tells you not to go do A, B, and C, you do it anyways. And then God gives you over to it, and you think it's a blessing from God, but it ends up being your destruction because God is giving you to the idol of your heart. Listen to God. It's better, all right? He's righteous and sovereign, and you can't do nothing about it. If you like Bible content like this, you could follow for more. The deadline's tomorrow. We're sending out a 3-day class, how to break unhealed trauma, unforgiveness, lust, witchcraft, and more, self-deliverance and deliverance. To join, inbox me the word join on Instagram or click the link in my story and bio, Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube.